Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. So today's topic is not about yoga, but it's more about just business in general. So the topic is Bankruptcy Chapter 7. Okay, at first, now that it's kind of subsided and there's no emotional charge to it, I feel I can talk about it. So this video's main purpose is to help you get through it or give you a little bit more information if you are thinking about it. So, I used to own a yoga studio in San Francisco in the Mission District, and we opened back in 2018. And I opened the studio on a small business loan, and we were only in business for 2 years, and the coronavirus hit. And my yoga studio was very special because it really required in person classes. We did prenatal classes, we did kid classes, we did family classes. So that was really hard to do virtually. As you know, kids have very short attention spans and things need to be live and interactive. With that being said, I also want to say I'm not a lawyer. I am not a bankruptcy Chapter 7 specialist. I am just a mere person who needed to use that to get on with my life. Okay. So when the pandemic hit, I was no longer allowed to do my business unless it was online. So people couldn't come in person. And on top of that, we had a rental commercial real estate space. And my landlord did not give no freebies. He maybe like discounted it maybe once or twice, but that was it. And I was expected to pay the entirety of the lease and to stay the entirety of the lease even though I was not legally able to use the space. So that was kind of effed up. So I felt very trapped. And I did apply for a bunch of different loans during the pandemic. And all those loans, obviously, during that time, all these small businesses were hurting. So the line to get into getting the loans, the government loans, were long, and the money came so slowly. And in addition, I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the day when we were having the PPP loan and then economic disaster loan, there would be like, oh, it's ran out, oh, it's closed. So it was basically 2 years of hell for me. And I didn't know how I could make ends meet. I had payroll to make, I had rent, commercial real estate rent. I was also living in an apartment in San Francisco. And if many of you guys know, San Francisco is probably the number one city in regards to being super freaking expensive. And then it was just like all bad. I couldn't pay a lot of my bills. I took a credit card out, like all those interest free credit cards. I didn't even pay my personal rent because we were able to uh, push that back for a while. So I'm just going to share my process of how I came to the conclusion that I needed to file Chapter 7. Um, when I was suffering through all this like economic financial problem, my landlord, when I in San Francisco, they did say that we could cancel our lease if you fit these different criterias. I didn't see any way out. My customers were dropping because it was virtual. In addition, there was an exodus of San Francisco people, so people were leaving the city. There was no help. Supervisors in the city didn't give no Fs. So I was left just to figure out how I'm going to make ends meet. On top of that, what pushed me over the edge was my landlord served me with a lawsuit saying that I owe the entirety of the rent. I have a small business loan, can't pay the rent, my personal rent, can't pay my teachers, have no customers. I didn't know where any of this money was going to come from. And I paid him whatever I had with loans, grants, whatever I received, gave it all to him. But that wasn't enough. And he wouldn't let me cancel the lease. So I was a big ball of stress for 2 years. And then I was just really pissed that no one was really able to help me. And so I did my own research and I was like, okay, how do I get out of this lawsuit? Because lawyers cost a ton of money. And you can't really pay someone when you have no money. So um, I decided to look up bankruptcy. So a bunch of my entrepreneur friends shared with me that there is chapter 7 and chapter 11. The main difference between chapter 7 and chapter 11 is that chapter 7 wipes everything off your plate and then you start from zero. Chapter 11 is they restructure all your debt and then you start to make payments, but it's not scratched off your record. And I also should say, when you consider chapter 7, you have to ask yourself, how bad is it really? Okay, how bad is it really? Can I really feel like I'm not going to make it and this is end all be all? Or can you actually restructure some of your stuff and try to make that payment? I chose chapter 7 because there was no income and I couldn't figure out what I was going to do because my whole life was put into this yoga studio. So there was no, supplemental income, no parents to help me, just by myself. So I figured to, by the way, a bankruptcy, I would highly recommend a bankruptcy lawyer, and that you need to prepare yourself for bankruptcy. If you want to know what that means to prepare yourself for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, I added a link below. You can book me for consultation and we can talk privately about what that means, because it's different for everybody and sometimes people don't want to share, and I don't want to give the wrong information and then people get all messed up in the head. So I would highly recommend preparing and then also hiring a bankruptcy lawyer to help you through it. I would say a couple pieces of advice is that yes, it does stay on your credit record. So you have to think in your head, do I need good credit for some of the things that I need to do in the near future? Meaning, like, you need it now and you don't have time to wait to build up back your credit. So you can book me for consultation to talk about that. And I will say, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm just giving you real life help, experience, and just how I did it. And yeah, so, and then make sure when you do file Chapter 7 that you list all of your debts. That means taking time to go through all your finances and getting everything squared away into a T. So when you do show up for the lawyer, that you are ready and you're not wasting any time. Some lawyers charge by the hour, some lawyers do a flat fee, and you want to make sure that you're prepared to make the most out of your meeting with the lawyer. I'm not saying that you should do stuff to make yourself go into chapter 7, but if it's a tragedy and something that you cannot help, such as a pandemic, I highly recommend it just so you can start over and stop stressing. I honestly had a bunch of nights of insomnia and so unhealthy. My skin was terrible. I wasn't eating correctly, crying a bunch. So if you start to feel like you're kind of dipping in a little bit of depression, this is something that you can look into. And I highly recommend it because chapter 7 really gives you a way to start over with your life. And it's nothing, I'm going to use a yoga concept here, but nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. So if you feel like, oh, I filed chapter 7, I suck at life, it's not true. There's a lot of people who are successful that filed chapter 7 and started over again. Okay. And you can start over again, like I'm starting over again. And you'll have initial pain and disappointment, and maybe you'll cry a little bit more. But it's almost like getting all the liabilities and troubles off your shoulders so you can create your new business from um, not a place of desperation, but a place of peace. Okay, and for me, being a girl, I don't know if it even matters if I'm a girl, but just with my hormones, I cannot work when I'm stressed. I don't make good product when I'm stressed. I don't provide good advice when I'm stressed. So this was something to help me move on and create more and then find new venues to do a new business. It's not the end of the world. You will be okay. You will survive. In the beginning, it may seem daunting and like really effing frustrating, but you will survive as I'm still here and alive and starting over. So, if you want to talk about it, you can jump to my website and we can talk about it. Anyways, this is all I have to say about chapter 7. Hope you so much luck through all the things that are difficult for you right now if you're looking at this video. And honestly, you probably don't even need luck, but I actually want to wish you like calmness and just kind of a smooth way of getting through all your finances. Okay, thanks.